Alright, we should be live now. Welcome to the Game Wisdom Live show. This is going to be for the week of April 5th, 2020. I am Josh Beiser of Game Wisdom, and joining me again is my co-host, indie game developer at Nexus Games, Sharky. How are you doing?
I am doing good. We've had lots of technical issues today, kind of thing, and it's been pretty nuts. But if you guys want to follow me, you can join my Discord, which will be down in the link. We'll be, we're working on the game Project Triad, and looking forward to seeing where these topics go. Like, there's some pretty interesting topics today.
And there will be links to my Discord as well in the description down below as well if you want to join ours. Boy. But we are still in the quarantine mode here. So everyone is slowly losing their minds. I guess it's just taking us a little bit longer, right?
Well, I mean, like, you can't lose your mind if you never had to begin with.
Yeah.
So.
If you already went crazy, you're set, right?
Yeah. Which, I mean, you have to pretty much be crazy to get into game development.
Yeah. So. And that's probably why we're all the game developers are still just working hard. We don't know there's an apocalypse going on.
Yep, that's true. The FF7 remake just made me lose it farther.
There you go. That's what saved Sharky from going insane. It already broke him. But as Shark said, we have some very interesting topics and, of course, more to discuss in terms of what's happening with the game industry. So I was trying to look up news of what's happening. Other than, of course, the whole Borderlands scandal, let's see. Outer Wilds and Disco Elysium won at the BAFTA Awards. We have more game sales going on. I was debating, I know, we need some more zombies here. When does the Hideo Kojima apocalypse happen? When we all do Death Stranding?
We'll have to find that one out the hard way.
Yeah. Hope everyone stockpiled Monster Energy drink.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. So, I still have a coupon for Epic Games that I'm debating about using it. I think I can get like either the Anno 2205 Season Year 2 DLC. I was telling Sharp we need to do a cast about multiple editions and stuff like that. We'll have to save it for another time. Or I can pick up Assassin's Creed Odyssey. What's very telling is that I asked people what they thought of the latest Assassin's Creed game, and nobody could remember which title was which. They knew the setting, but they didn't know which one was the latest one.
Yeah, I used to be a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed series, but that ended right after Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Everyone after that, I have been like they took most of the things I actually cared about the game and threw it out, kind of thing. And only thing now is just combat for the sake of combat, kind of thing, and just have not been into it.
Yep, and that Upin world design that we've all come to know and love.
Yeah, I mean, it probably won't affect you much because, you don't care much for story kind of thing, but they trash the story after Black Flag kind of thing. I think the pinnacle of Assassin's Creed was the Ezio trilogy, where you had Assassin's Creed 2, what was it, the Revolutions and
something like that,
Revelations or something. I forget. There's three different games there, all with Ezio. Yeah. And that was amazing. I love those three.
Yeah, and the last one that I played pretty much all the way through was the first Assassin's Creed 2.
So you got the first part of the Ezio trilogy.
Yeah. Something along those lines. They were promised a big bonus for the game doing well and things like that, and then the last minute, he said, "Oh, we can't give it. We don't have enough money." And then the story goes that like later that day, he was speaking to shareholders saying, "Oh, we made so much money on Borderlands 3."
Yeah, yeah. That is definitely a story there.
There's probably another topic. I don't know if this will be too much for us to talk about at some point about what it means to boycott a studio. Like that whole issue of are we really hurting him or are we hurting Gearbox if we don't buy games like that?
Are we hurting ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Because I haven't bought a Rockstar game since I think GTA 4 was the last one that I bought, and then after all the stories came out and all the stuff like that, I just said, I don't really need a Grand Theft Auto in my life.
Yeah, I never got into Grand Theft Auto. Like I didn't have it. I don't have anything against it, but I just never got into it for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Just like how I never really got into like Animal Crossing and Pokemon, despite like how widely well received they are.
I never got into Animal Crossing either, but like I was hardcore into the first Pokemon.
Mm.
But after the first Pokemon, like I pretty much never went back, kind of thing.
Mm.
And I don't know why, kind of thing. Like I think I know the big reason. The big reason is when they went on to the next one, I couldn't bring my Pokemon to
Mm.
the next one, kind of thing. And I was like, well, screw the next one. I'm not losing my Pokemon, and I'm just going to play this one more, kind of thing. And then the same thing happened over and over again until I just didn't play the first one anymore and didn't want to go to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think just for me, it just never felt like I was really getting into Pokemon. Like I was saying this on Twitter earlier, like it always seemed like I was waiting for the game to get interesting. Like the idea of capturing the Pokemon and fighting them, like, okay. I think I got spoiled on Shin Megami Tensei that has that same gameplay loop, but is a lot more challenging to play right from the get go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do have like challenges, like
Yeah.
oh, I forget the challenge where like you can only capture the first Pokemon you run into in every area, and you can only like if a Pokemon dies, it's gone forever.
Oh, good. I bet the kids love that one.
Oh
We
yeah,
we introduce the kids to permadeath as early as we can.
that's well, I mean, it's not in the actual game; it's a challenge run
Uh,
kind of thing. It's a masochist run, basically.
well,
So
there
it's
we
right
go.
up your alley.
Yeah, in Animal Crossing, that one just that just completely missed me. Like I tried playing the first one and I was like, yeah, it's cute. And I see on my Twitter feed like people are like obsessively playing the newest one right now.
Yeah, I remember one of my old friends, well, a couple of my old friends, really like being super into it. But I tried it over at their place, and I was like, I just can't get into it.
Hmm. I was
Wasn't
never.
bad, but there wasn't just anything to it, in my opinion. For me anyway, it was just
Hmm.
run here, run there, do this, talk to this person. It was like almost like it kind of ran into the same issue that MMOs did with me. Is it
Hmm.
seemed like just a bunch of fetch quests.
Yeah. And to Catfish's point, I wonder if that's the reason why that what was it Temtem game, the Pokemon esque PC game. I wonder if that's why that one is doing really well. That it basically frees up that one limitation that Pokemon has had for so long.
I don't know, like I looked at it and I didn't find any interest in it.
Hmm. Let's see. It seems to be doing. It has over 1,000 recent reviews and lifetime reviews of just over 18,000. So
Yeah, they
it's
marketed that thing hard.
oh yeah, especially with the whole when the whole Pokédex scandal thing happened.
Yeah. Like I got, I didn't even know what the game was. I definitely didn't follow it, but like apparently somehow they got my email address and like I got like I think like 10, 15 emails about it.
I think for me, like with Animal Crossing, the main reason why it never worked, I think it's the same reason why The Sims never worked for me. I'm just not a fan of that kind of like passive sandbox kind of game where, oh, you can get new clothing and build your house a little bit nicer or hang up cute decoratives. Like, eh. Like I need a goal to go for. I need some kind of challenge.
Oh, I got hooked to The Sims, the original one.
Mm.
Like I would play and get the I would try to max out basically all of my stats, kind of thing. I would, I'd have like three or four workout benches in every house, that I was building. Three or four. I forget what the way you train the other stats, but like I would have like a bunch of every one of them in there, and I would try to also at the same time max out the career and max out the money they got.
Yeah. And like the whole thing with all the expansions, like I know again, like that was one of EA's just like biggest marketing pushes for The Sims, and it just never got like it's weird. Like some of these popular games just completely missed me. Like critical miss if we're talking about XCOM luck here.
Yeah. But the thing about Sims is I was addicted to the first one, but
Mm-hmm.
I had enough of the first one that, and mind you, I had probably several hundred hours into it, but if not thousand. But like I never touched Sims 2, 3, 8, or any of the others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's always that trick when you're just throwing more and more content. It's kind of interesting about The Sims. I mean, I'm sure you in the chat can will know this more than I did, but did they really add like substantial new systems with each iteration of The Sims? Not expansions, but The Sims 2, Sims 3, and so on.
I don't actually know, but I know
I'll
that there
take a
was
look.
modding support for the first one,
Mm-hmm.
so you know there was in theory no reason to go on to the others as long as people keep on making mods because you could just mod it into the new one kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
if not completely, mostly.
Mm-hmm. And so I looked it up. So there apparently is a Sims 5 coming. Hmm. Again, like I am a Sims resistant, so I'm not exactly that excited about it. And that's what happens when I need a haircut. It starts to throw out. It's only going to get worse. Again, by the end of this apocalypse, I'll have the full on fro happening here. You won't see the headset, it'll just be all hair.
So we can change it from game wisdom to throw wisdom.
There we go. Perfect. My it's the downside of my plan to infect the world so we get nothing but podcast guests.
There we go.
But I think with that, let's get to our first topic. And like I said, I really want to do something about expand about multiple versions of games. So maybe we'll say that for next week, or if society is still functioning, we'll see what happens. So what do you want to start with, Shark? You want to do game rating or low prices? We'll need
Uh,
a. I'll have to put like the camera like all the way against the wall. And I'll go all the way back there, and you'll just be able to make out the whole throw.
Either one, I think, works because neither one of these build off of each other, as far as I can tell.
All right.
Does chat have a preference?
Yep. What does chat think?
Low price games or how game writing is unique?
And while you're doing that, I heard back from the microphone manufacturer, and there is a delay until possibly the 7th for me to get my new mic. And then I have to find a nice headset or earbuds or whatever. so I can hear everybody as well as speak perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a vote
Hopefully they
for
get
low
it in soon.
price.
And there we go.
All right, hearing beeping going on there. There we go. That's me. All right, there we go. So let's talk about low price because this again, pricing in the game industry. This is a topic that there will never be, I think, and we'll never be able to stop talking about this because there's always little things we can discuss, from DLC to additions to high prices in games, average prices. And for today, we're talking low.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Test, test.
There you go.
Okay. But I was saying, we're talking about low prices. Because this is, I think, something that a lot of people, again, when we talk about these topics, that they don't really consider. When we think about pricing in video games, it's common for everyone to say, oh, the lower the price, it's automatically going to be good, right? The whole race to a dollar that has, caused existential dread in developers over the last decade is proof positive of this. But one of the things that we've been seeing lately is that just because your game is priced really low doesn't necessarily, I think, help it as much as it did 5, 10 years ago. So what do you think about this?
Well, depends on how you define low price kind of thing. But there is definitely issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
We have the low price has gone so low on mobile that it's now free. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't make a free to play game on mobile, you're pretty much guaranteed to fail now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the inverse of free, but inverse of low price games. But at the same time, it is kind of the kind of the same thing. But when you're talking about releasing your game as a paid game on Steam or whatever the platform of your choice is, or platforms kind of thing, whenever you're talking about a game less than $15 or less than $14.99 rather, what happens is that when you look at, there's actually some numbers that are published. I don't remember where, but there was a GDC talk on this kind of thing. And those numbers show that if you look at the success of a game kind of thing, and the number of successes to failures kind of thing, when you look at games that are below that $14.99, the failure rate is astronomical compared to above that rate. And those numbers are excluding asset flips and really low quality games kind of thing. This is only legit games that are under that price kind of thing. If you add those in, then that goes up even higher. We're excluding the cheap garbage is excluded in those numbers.
Yeah.
Even without the cheap garbage, it is still deadly low. And from what I understand, the reason why it is that way is because the lower the price is, the more copies you have to sell to break even kind of thing. And if you're not doing cheap garbage kind of thing, you're doing an actual game kind of thing, you have expenses. You have significant expenses. And it gets to a point where, you're not, if you're below that $14.99 mark, you're not likely to be able to hit a sales number that is big enough in order to break even on those expenses when it's such a lower number kind of thing. Not that you're super likely above $15 and above kind of thing. I'm just going to refer to $14.99 as $15, but you guys know what I mean. It's 14. Anytime I say 15, I mean $14.99. But $15 and above is still not good odds of succeeding, but it's far higher when you looked at it. I can't remember what the exact numbers was, but after you took out all the cheap games and the garbage games and well, not the cheap games, but the low quality games and the asset flips and everything. Once you took those out and just looked at the legitimate games and everything across the spectrum, I think it was something like that. You know, games. Under the $15 mark were, I think they were only succeeding maybe 10. No, I think it was 1% of the time, kind of thing. Where those above 15 were succeeding, I think like 15 or above were succeeding about 15% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, I think it was less than 1%. I think it was like 0.1% below, kind of thing. So it was something like 100 times. You were like 150 times more likely to succeed if your game was $15 or more.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, your odds of succeeding was still quite low, but it was insanely higher when you had the higher price kind of thing. And the issue is that doesn't mean you need to necessarily price your game at $15 or more, because if your game is not worth $15,
Yeah.
then obviously pricing it like that will also you know let you go kind of thing. But if you're doing, you need to try to aim for a game that is 15 plus kind of thing, and you need to set your game that's your price to 15 game plus. But like if you finish your game, there's nothing really more to add to it, and you feel that it's you feel and everybody else feels that it's not worth $15, then you can go lower kind of thing. But like, be very careful about that, because I ran into people like this in my last game. Is a lot of people told me that I should release my last game for $10,
Mm-hmm.
and I questioned them into details on why and everything, and eventually I got to the point to where I found out some crucial information that they don't buy games that are more than $10 kind of thing. So I was like, so what you're saying is you want me to price it at the very top of your price range kind of thing, not what you actually think the game is worth kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they really loved the game and really raved about it, but they it was not within the price bracket that they buy from, and they wanted it in their price bracket kind of thing.
Yeah.
So be careful who you talk to on that, and get lots of feedback. I would probably talk to a lot of fellow developers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And it's again, it's that very weird issue of just how much can you really get out of the game, and it's a very tough question to ask. As Catfish said, that as the price goes up, people are expecting more out of that game. But in the same vein, if you go too low, as Alordo said, that they assume, like we've said, that there's something wrong with this game. Why are you,
Mm-hmm.
if you're promising this is a 500-hour long mega RPG and you're pricing it for $2.99, what's the problem with it?
Yeah. Is this a 500-hour RPG that I won't play for more than 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm. And trying to find that sweet spot in terms of your mechanics and pricing, again, like you said, it's very hard to do that because we've played games where I play for like 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I've seen enough, and then I look and it's like a $25 game. I'm like, why would I give you $25 if I only feel like there's 30 minutes worth of content in it?
Yeah. And the other aspect is that oh no, my brain's gone. just went right out the window. Um, Go ahead, continue on.
Okay. And then conversely, I've seen games. I used to get a lot of the games on super deep discount. 99 cents, $1.99, things like that. And then I run into this case of I play it for like 20 minutes, and I don't normally for those games. I typically don't refund them, but like I have no desire to play them again, and I honestly have no desire to play more games from that developer. To be honest.
Yeah. Now I remember what I was going to say. You remember our past cast where we went through like the value in the games and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and how we felt, if we felt ripped off or if we felt that we got a good deal. Well, what we learned from that is that price is arbitrary. It doesn't matter, kind of thing. What matters is how much. It doesn't matter how many hours of playtime you have. It matters how long you can get the players to play,
Mm-hmm.
and the longer that the players play, the better deal they feel like they got, which overcomes the higher prices. So
Mm-hmm.
if you get, so the more you think you can get people to play for long term and actually buy it to try it in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
the that would be kind of your good price there, kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's hard to get a game to be like that because you may think that your game has so many hours of content, but as we've said before, like trying to objectively price a game like you would a car or some kind of product doesn't really work because we've seen like very story driven, very emotional games priced at $25, and there's what, an hour and a half of gameplay to it. Just
Hmm.
as we've seen mechanically driven games that are fantastic are maybe $10 to $15.
Yeah, and the the issue really arises that you have to you got to balance it because you know if the dollar amount is too high,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to buy it to try it to begin with. So you got to keep it. You got to get that price tag low enough that people are actually willing to buy it and try it, kind of thing. And but you also got the sunk cost fallacy that the more you charge for it, the more they're likely to be invested in it, and which I find that whole thing to be retarded. So,
Mm-hmm.
but sunk cost fallacy is in there, which I hope that nobody watching our podcast is going to take advantage of that, because that is, in my opinion, a dirty way to do things. And that dirtiness, I will tell you, will catch up to you at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be this game. You may make a lot of money off of this game because of that kind of thing. But at some point, that dirtiness will catch up to you, and you won't be able to unbury yourself after that kind of thing.
Yep. And even with like the free to play market, I think it does feel like it's getting harder for those games to stand out these days because everyone has probably committed to one or two free to play games.
Yeah, the free to play market is, well. The advantage about the free to play market is that there's the hump to get over the price tag is like nothing, basically. All you have to do is appeal enough to them that they're willing to hit that download button, kind of thing, and you're good, kind of thing. At least to getting them in the door, kind of thing. Keeping them after they get in the door is a completely different story. But
Yeah.
getting them in the door is so much easier when it's a free to play game.
We need to call Ramin now, get him on for that discussion. Excuse me. But here's the question I'm sure somebody is wondering right now. If I have a game that, let's say in all honesty, is only a $3.99 or $4.99 game, do I even bother putting that on a store page?
Probably not. Well, you might want to put it on itch.io or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably would not put that on Steam or anything else like that because you're not likely to make any money from it, kind of thing. Because the even if it's a good game for the $2 or $3 kind of thing, and it's not worth more than that kind of thing, you'll have you know all the Steam collectors come and buy it when it's 66% off, for a dollar
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. You'll have several people buy it and try it because it's cheap and everything, and some of them will keep it kind of thing. But seeing how it's you know $3 kind of thing, nobody is going to leave a positive review on your game unless it's because of the price kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a $3 game, an actual $3 game, not a $3 price tag, but a $3 game doesn't net a positive review kind of thing. It is so subpar that it's not worth leaving a positive review for. So the only reason to leave a review for it would be if because of the price kind of thing. On the other hand, if it's a $15 game that's being sold for $3, yeah, you'll rack up tons of positive reviews, but you'll also go out of business.
Yep. So, to Kat's question, one of the free demos, pretty much the whole Steam refund policy. A lot of people treat as demos these days.
Yeah,
I still.
and a demo is very, very hard to make
Mm-hmm.
too.
So here's something that's interesting. I looked at the popular new releases on Steam. Oh man! And what's interesting that of the list, going back, looking at like the last like 5-6 months of what they are counting as popular new releases, all the games are either free to play or they're $15 or more in their pricing. There is not one game on this list that is retailed at less than $15 unless it's
Yeah,
free.
yep, that makes sense because like again, if you're going to release a game, you are far more likely to succeed if it's free or $15 or more.
Mm-hmm.
Just just how the marketplace works, and it's weird like that. And I don't understand it myself, but I do understand it at the same time because I understand that I myself am very, 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 very wary about buying any game that is cheaper than $15
Mm-hmm.
because when you get to games that are cheaper than $15, there are so many games that are cheaper than $15. Like they're like $14 and $13 and 12, 10, 9, 8,
Mm-hmm.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That those games aren't even like the game itself isn't worth a dollar or two kind of thing, and they're just it's a in theory a dollar or two game being sold for 14, 15, 16. You can see like those dollar quality games being sold for up to $14. You don't see them really in the $15 plus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are there, but you don't see them. They are everywhere in the sub $15, which means that good games that are down there in that sub $15 gets lumped in with all the very low quality games kind of thing, which means and when you're lumped in with that, you have to prove that you're not that, through trailers, screenshots, and a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of other stuff. But even at that, I think most consumers have it in the back of their mind, like this may be really low quality. I'm going to be really fast with the refund button kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they even go to give it a shot in the first place, and they're way more hesitant to put the buy button because of the hesitancy. So you're losing sales because of the hesitancy, and then you're losing people that because they have a really really low pain point at that point because they're expecting your game to be crap, and they're going to refund it really quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
like those two reasons right there are like really why I think that sub $15 games are not doing very well. They're not selling very well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that list that Steam has compiled there, I'm sure that's based off of sales numbers
Yeah.
and whatnot. So, if it ain't selling, it's not going to be on that list.
Mm-hmm. And like we've said, like there is something to be said about pricing your game too high. And that again, that's a topic for another day. That's another hour and a half easily. And
Yeah. Another thing we're seeing is that shift in from $15 from that,
mm-hmm,
$15 plus, and it's now shifting to $20 plus.
mm-hmm. Such as with Disco Elysium, Shadow Tactics, that Temtem game is I think 33 or 35, and even some.
Uh,
Oh, test. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. What were you saying?
I said Monster Train is going to be 30 when it comes out.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And as another point, World of Horror, that game that I'm really enjoying, and it's a game that I think from the outside doesn't look all that impressive. That is, as we've been talking about, that is priced exactly at $14.99 right now. Let's
That's
see.
$15.
I actually want to
And
see, are they going to raise the price? They are going to actually be raising the price up. I'm assuming when they raise that price up, it will either go to $19.99, or as you said, it may go to maybe like $24.99.
could be.
And again, like it's this is again why this kind of topic is very hard to discuss, because there's so many. Anytime we talk about pricing, it links to other topics of pricing, and then we just talk for like 5 to 6 hours on this.
Exactly.
And to try and keep this like on the topic, like wow, my hair is really starting to pop up there. While we're trying to keep this on topic with low pricing, again, like I think one thing we need to clarify: we're not talking about game sales, as in putting your game on sale for under $10. This is I am putting my game brand new on Steam for $10 or less, or in this case, $15 or less. And I think another point, I'm not sure we talked about this today, but I know we talked about this before, is that, again, the quality that people expect for any price has gone up. And this becomes even horror when all these games are just kind of all occupying that same space. So, to give you an example, the image that I used for this piece on the thumbnail is from that game Dwarf Shops. That was a game that we played during the Indie Game Spotlight. So, Shark, you remember that game? It was like a very basic, idle, like shop simulator kind of game. How
Vaguely.
much? All right. How much would you say, even just looking at that screenshot that I put in the thumbnail, how much would you say that game is priced at?
Uh, I'm not seeing the thumbnail.
Oh, you may have to refresh. I know something that's weird like that. But if you type Dwarf Shop in on Steam, it will come up very quickly.
Okay, what was the name?
Dwarf Shop.
Photoshop.
And without looking at the price, just looking at the screenshots, what would you say that game is priced at in terms of like the quality level that you're seeing? And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up another example because I'm curious how much this is priced at. Coronavirus is going to be part 2 of this apocalypse. Everyone's going to get an afro by the end of the year.
Well, from looking at the screenshots and whatnot, I see two different prices, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see the price based on the aesthetics and everything, and I see that may be going with like a $10 price tag,
Mm-hmm.
but from what I'm seeing in the gameplay stuff, and I don't know because I don't remember too much about this one because this is not the one I was thinking you were talking about, and I don't remember this one at all. Um, from what I'm looking gameplay wise, it looks like it's got a lot more than $10. It looks more like a $15, maybe plus kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
It is priced at $10, and like as somebody who plays a lot of the idle games, it seems about fair there. But then here's another interesting point. I looked up one of my favorite ones, Dragoncliff. Dragoncliff is kind of like, to me, like the current apex of this kind of idle grind character builder kind of design. That's priced at $10 as well. Now,
Hmm.
as another comparison, I'm pretty sure you don't remember this game. During one of our indie spotlights, I looked at Idle Warrior. This was a super basic looking idle game. That is
Was
priced
that the
at
one with the little combat at the top?
yes.
I do actually remember that one because it was so low
Yeah,
quality.
that one is priced at $2. So the question is, do you think that game was worth $2?
No, I
I
don't
think.
think. I don't think pretty much any game at the price of $2 is worth $2 because
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think any game like I don't think most of the games that are on Steam that are $10 and below are worth even $1 because it's not like if they were in a vacuum they wouldn't be worth that
Mm-hmm.
price. I mean, in a vacuum they might be worth that price, but with all the games I have to play, it's worth $1 to not add them to clutter up my Steam library kind of thing and make it harder to find the games I want to play kind of thing.
I've lost that fight a long time ago. Like, remember, I've told the story. I bought a goddess for negative $2.50, and it still wasn't worth that amount.
Yeah. Looking at Dwarf Shop, they got mixed reviews at 65%.
Yeah. And Dragoncliff is a lot better. They have
Yeah,
over 3,000 reviews, grand or lifetime.
yeah, Dragon Quest was pretty good.
Yeah.
I put a good few hours into that, but like
Oh,
it got
Dragoncliff.
to the
Sorry.
point. It got to the point like
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how long, but like it got to a point after a while that it just became, let's just, idle for, leave it on for like,
Yeah.
20, 30 hours or whatever. Oh, looky there. I don't think I've even progressed.
Mm-hmm. Or you got 0.0001% further.
Oh, I definitely got farther, but like I didn't get anything meaningful from it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yay, I can buy a new set of gear, but I still can't go to the next level. I'm still stuck on the same level kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And talking about grinding and progression, that again is another topic to discuss at some
Mhm.
point. And like we've said, I know we've said this example many times over, because so many games are being kind of packed together on store shelves, again, it's making that harder. It's like, it would be kind of like imagine if McDonald's, Wendy's, and a five-star restaurant all had the same pricing of $10 or less for their food. Do you want to spend $10 on getting a Big Mac from McDonald's? Or would you like a five-star filet mignon for that same price?
You can't pay me to eat McDonald's food. I work there. I know what happens in that kitchen.
Uh, I had my first Wendy's cheeseburger in over 8 years this past week because there was no food around here, and I didn't really miss much.
I
This podcast sponsored by Arby's. There we go.
thought it was sponsored by the five-star restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't afford to get them in as a
Yeah.
sponsor.
And again, this issue of how much do I really want to spend on a game? And there's one final point. Again, we can just keep bringing in price related topics for this discussion, but one last thing I really wanted to talk about is that with all these games being priced together like this, that why should I be spending money on your game? Like, time is such a amorphous subject when it comes to video games. Right now, I have two free to play games on mobile. I have over 2,000 games in my Steam library. I am set in terms of time. Don't forget, I have work to do. The apocalypse doesn't stop me from making videos. I have, at this moment in time, 70 games to go through from all the spotlights we've done and turning those into 15 to 20-minute long videos. So my time sheet is completely full right now. And the problem is, with everybody's time kind of getting filled up like that, we can't add in more hours in a day. So if your game is priced at $1 and it is a horrible game, I am not going to get any enjoyment out of it. Why should I even give you $1 to hurt myself for an hour?
Well, I mean, you like hurting yourself, so I mean, it would make
the
sense
general
for you, but not everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense for you, but not everybody else. Yeah, and for the I really don't have time for a game that is because I'm busy like yourself. I don't have time for a game that is worth less than $15.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. Like, why would I play it? Kind of thing. Like, and to Ingram's point, Ingram's, I can't say that name. Sorry, but to your point about working, off topic on working with the food industry, I've worked in many jobs, kind of thing, in the food industry, and McDonald's is the only one. McDonald's and Burger King are the only, because we were right next door to Burger King, and I knew that the exact same thing happened there as it did in my restaurant. Those are the only two I want to go back to. Like I worked at almost every pizza place known to man, and I still go there as much as I can, kind of thing. I mean, there was bad things that happened there, but they were not very frequent, and on the bad scale, very low. Like this, the stuff that happened at McDonald's and Burger King was, like I almost vomit, just thinking about it.
These podcasts go some weird places, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
All right. Anything else regarding low pricing? I'm trying to think. I guess here's something, because we brought, again, this goes back to another topic. We talk about trying to add value to your game. So the question, I think, turns to, let's say I have a great game. Let's say it's something people enjoy, but it's not that lengthy of an experience, or maybe it doesn't look high quality. And, my gut tells me I should price this at $5. But can you raise the value of a game at that point without, of course, completely killing your budget and scope?
Well, I know, at least from the consumer side, a lot of their determination of value is in the graphical appeal kind of thing. So the more graphical appealing it is, essentially the more you can get away with charging, kind of thing, to a point. But at the same time, that's getting them in the door, not keeping them once they get in the game, kind of thing. And I mean, if you have a short game, I mean, if that game is super impactful, you can keep them, kind of thing. Like if it's like, oh, this game was only like 45 minutes long, but this game changed my life, they aren't going to refund that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least a majority of people aren't, kind of thing. But if you have a game that's like an hour and a half, and it was really good and really fun, but it's like at the end you're like, I wanted more kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it leaves that wanting for more kind of thing, you need to add more kind of thing. But if it is just like people play it and it's like this game has changed my life kind of thing, you don't need to add more kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the back to the aesthetics thing is if your aesthetics are not good enough, nobody's going to buy it for $15.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, like that, I think is a very salient point for a lot of people to realize. But like we've said, it doesn't matter how great your gameplay is. If people can't be wowed by your aesthetic, it's I think right there that automatically disqualifies a lot of games from being more than $10.
Or selling period, because like if you do not have graphical appeal kind of thing, then then nobody's going to actually buy your game kind of thing. I know this firsthand because my last game, it didn't look bad. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people really consider it to look good kind of thing. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but the people who played it a lot, in testing and everything, said they thought it looked really good kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem is that I mismatched styles, and like each part looked fairly good. It wasn't great or anything, but then I mismatched styles and everything, and they fell apart kind of thing, and that ruined the aesthetic kind of thing. But like
Mm-hmm.
nobody bought it basically. If you don't count the game collectors that bought it when I was removing it from the storefront, only I think like 27, 30 people, something like that, actually bought the game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we have 14 reviews on the game, and we have 100% positive review score kind of thing. And the review score did not cause the game to sell kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you can't count on review scores having anything to do with sales kind of thing. And you can't, what you have to count on for sales is your aesthetics being good enough to get a mass majority of people over the hump that is your price tag.
Yep.
And then to keep them after that, you have to have enough gameplay, good enough gameplay and whatnot after that to prevent them from refunding it afterwards.
Yeah. And I think that's another important point we need to discuss because there are plenty of games that are very low price but still get a lot of sales. And some of that comes back to the name of the developer. Again, if Edmund McMillan releases a game for $5.99, people are going to buy that game. It doesn't matter what that game is. And that, again,
Mm-hmm.
has more to do with the developer and the studio than the gameplay itself. Clay Entertainment, Kid Fox, pick any major like company that has really earned their accolades, and the marketing and kind of the audience is already done for them. But
Or
if
you
you
got those developers you talked to that made those really old-fashioned, low aesthetic games. What were those?
the modern retro ones, Scold, what was it? Oh no, what was it? I can't remember the name of it.
But they had their they already had their audience
Mm-hmm.
set. They weren't going to be reaching any new people, but they didn't have to reach any new people because they already had their audience,
Mm-hmm.
and all they had to do is sell to them.
Yep.
But those are exceptions. We're like we're talking about everybody who's watching this, not the exceptions to the rule. Because I mean, there are exceptions to every rule,
Mm-hmm.
but those exceptions already know that there are exceptions, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you guys are not them, unless we have somebody famous watching right now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Will Wright is watching us right now, and
Oh
Hideo
yeah,
Kojima. They're both watching it together.
yeah.
So here's one final interesting point. I looked up Infinity, that very weird puzzle adventure game that I showed. That is priced at $12 and currently stands at 8 user reviews. And then just for the heck of it, I looked up Thirsty Ship. If you remember that one,
Mm-hmm.
that is priced
You
at
mean Thrusty Ship?
yeah, Thirsty. That one is priced at I'm sorry, $19 and only has 6 user reviews right now.
Hmm. Yeah, Thrusty Ship wasn't the most visually appealing kind of thing.
Hmm.
And the thing about that game is it was really fun for the first section or whatever. But the second section and third section, ooh, those are horrible.
And yeah, again, like when the more challenging you make your game, or the more, what's the word I'm looking for, I think more exclusive, it becomes hard to get more people to look at your game. And again, we've talked about this before with the whole idea of the echo chamber. That if you only listen to 3 people who say that they love your game, there's something wrong with it. What happens when you try and get this in the eyes of thousands of people?
Yeah.
But like we said, like there's a lot more we can talk about when it comes to pricing games. But I think let's move on to weird games, unless you can think of anything else regarding the low pricing to discuss.
Well, I want to address Injur M's point there that I keep on probably murdering his name. Um, Nobody knows how to price their game, honestly. Not anybody. Like I mean, AAA just prices their game at $60 because that's what they do, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's purely it. That they found something that works, they're doing it. They're not. They don't want to fool with that, despite wanting more money. I mean, they want. They would easily up it to 70, 80, 200, $1,000 if they thought they could get away with it, but they haven't. They've left it at $60 and added other transactions inside of it because they don't know how to price their games. Nobody knows how to price their games, kind of thing. Like no indie knows how to price their game. I don't know how to price my game, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like we're sitting here talking about it, and I don't know how to price my game. There's nobody out there that knows how to price a game because it turns out that pricing your game is pretty arbitrary, kind of thing. Like, and it's it's an arbitrary thing, and you have to try to figure out what will actually work, kind of thing. And you have to do your research and everything based on that. And you want to make your game, you want to aim for a game that is at least $15 or more, kind of thing. And you need to make sure that you have aesthetics to fit that price tag,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, $15 more. And then you need to look and make sure that your gameplay you think is worth that much or more, kind of thing. And then after you determine that it's all those qualifiers are $15 or more, kind of thing, then you go in there and you can compare it to other games. I did that a lot with mine. I compared Chrome Asia, the word of the day, with other tactical RPGs, including Chroma Squad. I was like, Chroma Squad was the main one I compared it to because
Mm-hmm.
they're both they have a good bit in common, kind of thing. I mean, they're both they both got Chroma in the name. They're both tactical RPGs. They're both small indie studio games. They're both lacking on real visual quality, kind of thing. Like the graphics is not bad in that, but it's not amazing either, kind of thing. The issue is my aesthetic was mismatched and lesser than theirs, and but their game was $14.99, so I went with $14.99 because of that and all the other research I went with it, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And like most of the tactical RPGs I looked up were $14.99. Pretty much all of them were. I think there was a few exceptions, and most of those exceptions were like $60 and such, like Disgaea and whatnot. Which I mean, our game was inspired by Disgaea, but I wasn't about to go with Disgaea prices, kind of thing.
And to your point about pricing art, wait until I do my video about reviewing art. That should be fun as well.
Is this going to be another one? Is this going to be the one that you do next April 1st?
No, that one's going to be a real one. It's probably going to piss off a lot of people, as always.
Probably.
All right. So I think with that, let's get see what weird stuff is coming out in the coming days. So we can all suffer during the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's hope.
But you try to suffer all the time.
Mm-hmm. All right. So apparently, I got rejected from that Hyper Parasite game, which is very weird. Again, they never tell you why you got rejected, but
They don't. They don't give a ability to tell you to tell anything.
I'm
Another
so
one
waiting
of
on
the downfalls of
that Resident
you
Evil
know.
3 and Doom Eternal key. I'm sure if I hold my breath, I'll get it right.
Yeah. Just hold your breath long enough. Eventually, you'll get it.
All right. So let's see what we got.
I mean, you could always get the cracked version of Doom Eternal.
Great Adventures in the World of Sky.
Oh wait, never mind. That's not the cracked version. That's the normal Bethesda version.
Geezer Gus. What the hell is this?
There's that octofight above that one. Oh jeez.
Oh, it's based upon the Geezer Gus franchise. There's a franchise. Oh, 10 animated cutscenes.
Uh,
My eyes.
yeah. That face's eyes in the on the side of the house. Oh.
Mm.
Oh.
Oh.
That's the most visually pleasing part right there.
Mm-hmm. Simple controls and deep gameplay. 2 to 8 players. Create your own fighting rules. Mm. The pixel art is not really hooking me on this one.
Yeah, it's super low bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good for super low bit, but it's super low bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
peelers. Hmm. Well, could be something to try for a co-op night.
yeah, it could be.
Infinite Dronin?
Exactly, Ingram. I can't even say your name.
Oh, this is another game from this is Nice? Yeah. Or they're publishing it.
Which one?
The Disaster Report series.
Uh,
Never play them. I've heard they're kind of niche. Why not? We can live through 2 disasters at once. Blind Blade 2. Second generation. Ooh, 21 levels and 63 special challenges.
you know what we say about adding more levels, right?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. How is this an RPG?
How is Call of Duty action game?
Mm-hmm. I thought Call of Duty was a visual novel game.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. It's totally a visual novel game.
Veldia
It's also an
Pepper?
RPG
Monster Taming
and an action
RPG?
game, according to the Game Awards. Yeah,
This looks like very low budget Pokemon. Ooh, we can get a cabbage.
super low quality. For a second there, I thought that was RPG Maker art, but that's not.
I was thinking that too.
RPG Maker art looks actually better than that.
Dark.
Yeah, Convoy was pretty interesting, but like, it was not visually pleasing for sure. But the gameplay was pretty good for a bit, and then it got old for
Wait,
me anyway.
wait, what? In the role of a Will-O-the-Wisp, you will have to reveal all the 5 murdered members of the death metal brand to broke loose hell on the earth? I'm
Was
assuming
that
you.
a sentence?
Well, it's words.
It's words.
If you will not know what to do, use a help. Can I use a help?
If you will not know what to do,
Controls only mouse and her left mouse button. Okay.
it's another thing. If you're going to put your game on someplace, um, make sure you get your grammar and everything right.
There's a game for a Draken right there.
All the games for Draken is on here.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it from now on. I could use a help.
You can use. No, you got to say if I could use a help.
Hardcore fighting competition, no value and no growth.
No value and no growth. That's a great way to advertise your game.
Mm-hmm.
Just, just it's like, hey, this game's really shit. Don't buy it. Here, it's $14.99.
Mask of Miss. Is this a puzzle game?
Probably.
Research magical creatures of the abyss. Fight with magical creatures. Oh, I was not expecting that.
The reverse psychology does not work on selling games.
Mm-hmm. It's like a generic first-person hack and
Action game.
slash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Radio Wolf and Pigs. Bastard Little Zombie. There's a good name.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not good when you show like the touch interface on a PC game. Shadow Gangs.
I mean, people might have a touchscreen monitor on their PC.
I have a feeling that these character animations are very stilted in this one, just by how kind of detailed they look otherwise.
Yeah.
Graphics are HD, hand drawn, yeah, traditional animation.
They look pretty good, though. I would say give it a try.
That's a very tall bad guy right there. Alright.
But I would say more evidence to why they're stilted is because, like, every screenshot, you see them kind of, like, in their best kind of pose. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised I did not get a press key for that Castlevania-like game. I haven't sent developers a message. Naked Puzzles. Girls, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Detective Butler. Maiden Voyage Murder. Okay.
A game for Draken.
Heal.
Plus Tanya.
Mm-hmm. Handmade in Finland, this game. But I can't see any of the assets.
Is it not loading in, or is it... Oh, it's not loading in. You can see...
Okay, there we go. Nice aesthetic. Creator of the Distraint series. Why does that sound familiar?
Oh, what?
Distraint, yeah.
I know Distrust, but I don't know Distraint.
Let me see. Is it what I think it is? Oh, it is. It was like kind of like a short, kind of like a very short horror game. Kind of like more about like weird visuals and the story. Wasn't bad, but again, it's like a very short experience, like maybe like an hour or two long.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'll put in for this one.
Practice your YouTuber phases.
Mm-hmm. Xenovaders. Mm. How much you want to bet this game is priced at $3.99?
Or something ridiculous.
$3.99 or $70.99, right?
Probably.
Let's see. Alder's Blood. That's finally. Is that the major release or is that the early access?
Your mic's messed up again. You
Uh
sound like you're talking kind of like in a tin can.
oh. 1 second. Let's see. What's going on here?
Your mic came better.
Alright, how about now? Is it a little bit better?
Nope, it's the exact same.
Hmm. Now I'm not sure. Let me try adjusting it like this. Test, test.
Oh, that's worse.
Oh, good. Mm-mm.
I can barely hear you.
Hmm. Let me see. Maybe it's something on the Discord. I got flubbed. How about now?
Nope.
Uh
Oh, you hear him fine?
oh.
Hmm.
Hmm. I know. Let me disconnect the call
Oh,
and I'll.
there we go.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
That's weird.
I found an issue.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a writing next. We're still in the weird games section.
Apparently the headphone jack in my front of my PC case is going out.
Oh no, everyone's having headset problems.
No, it's not my headset. It's the connection inside my computer.
Ugh. Oh,
They're
here's the
replacing it.
perfect game. A buttload of free games.
Sounds good.
Ooh, 100 small games.
Oh.
It's 100 times 0.
Yeah, so you get $100 value games.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh, good. Ooh, nude options. That's always great when a game has that.
Yeah, I'm going to include nude options in Project Triad.
Good. Chronicles of Robin Hood, the King of Thieves. Is this a match 3 game? Hey, I was. Oh, it's a puzzle match game. I was close. Nope, I was right. It is a match 3 game. I just assume every game is a match 3 game by default.
You really do.
Mm-hmm. And about 80% of the time, I'm right. Marshmallow Tank. Battle with your best friend and smash them. It still won't be that Baron game. Will Jab stop targeting Shark?
Yeah.
Sweet Story Bad Girl. Ooh, Fallout 76. More content.
That you got to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The hell? Heartless Reseller is roguelike.
So
Oh,
who's ready for the next Fallout 76, travesty Fallout news? It'll be hidden. When's that coming out?
let's see. April 14th.
Expect it April 14th.
Wait.
YouTube will be flooded with it. With how Bethesda screwed something
Oh
else
my
up.
god.
Horribly.
They actually are trying to sell the DLC of premium currency as a separate thing. I know, let me put in just for the DLC or for the premium currency and see if I get it. I'll get 10,000 atoms and not the game.
Yeah, there you go.
Destiny Chronicles Impulse Control. I was not expecting that.
Destiny Chronicles. What is that?
Let's see. Hmm. Inspired by classic JRPGs, character-driven stories, enchanting, party interactions. Hmm. I haven't heard of the studio though.
Looks pretty decent. Could be anyway.
Hmm.
They got the aesthetics.
Has that kind of generic JRPG look to it.
Yeah, that it does. It does look. It doesn't look bad, but it looks generic.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Let's see. Heaven World. We'll do 2 more pages and then that will do it. Dead Side. What's this?
You mean RPGs, Oscar?
Like just generic Battle Royale. Viking Heroes. What's this? Wait a minute. Is this that developer who's copying Yep, they're copying the what was it, the Trials of Hercules games.
That's every stream, though, Oscar. Oh, I think your mic actually died.
Nope. No? Test.
No? There's that.
Weird. Well, my luck there'll be an entire storage of microphones I won't get for like 4 years. My Adventure, Bach
You
Bach.
put it off for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you finally decided what you want to go forward with it, now you get delayed.
Mm-hmm.
You delayed it so much that you ran into more delays.
Exactly. Save your nuts. Alright, I will give them points for the name for this one.
That needs to be something you request to keep for. I don't know what it is, but that name you need to request it.
So it's
You
about
need to save your
squirrels
nuts.
fighting each other.
It looks like a multiplayer game.
Alright.
We can play that and save your nuts.
Oh, the drinking games are gonna come from that one. Artificer. Wait, I own this game? Oh, I remember this one. It's like a Don't Starve-esque kind of game. Drug Dealer Simulator. Why neon lights again? Nostalgic cyberpunk shooting gallery.
Yeah, because everybody's nostalgic about Cyberpunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And shooting galleries. Well, shooting galleries maybe, but
Wait, I have a key for this? Okay, I'll have to see to make sure that I have it on my list. Enamored Risks. I'm kind of afraid to click on that one. What is Hellpoint? Dark and challenging action RPG. Looks Dark Souls-esque. Ooh, dozens of weapons. That's always a good sign.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so, Gordo. You're struggling as a friend start. And
that's very true, El Gordo.
Tiny Bill. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, it's from the. Oh, it's from the Hello Neighbor, that publisher. Alright, and then what is this? Fortran is a tactical RPG emphasizing the use of environmental interactions to create rich, challenging, rewarding tactical gameplay. That sounds like a robot wrote that line.
Yeah. Which right now, the way my headset is working, you sound like a robot. So, did you write it?
Let's see. Alright, all I have is footage, so this may get loud. Let's see. Oh, okay, I got the mute in time. Let's see. Aesthetic looks okay. Hopefully you can actually see the footage moving.
So
Yes.
this is a tactical RPG.
That's what it says. Alright, so it
Hmm.
looks like the whole twist that you can everything in the environment can do something. Hmm.
I'm gonna get a key for that.
Looks kind of interesting. Wait, is that like a mobile thing? Port XCOM to Fantasy XCOM. Everything's on fire. Let's see. Could be something worth checking out.
I'd give it a try.
Alright. Maybe we got a few winners there. Alright, I think
Like
with that,
usual.
let's get to our final topic. I need to make sure, though, very fast, I did mark down that Galaxy Starfighter on my growing itemized list of games to look at. There we go, exactly. Oh, yeah, I do have it on there. Alright, so for our final topic for tonight, we're going to talk about game writing and how it is different from other mediums. And again, this is a topic that we'll try to keep things reasonably timed because we could be here for several hours on it. And
Yeah, and we have a big amount of experience on this one kind of thing because Josh has written how many books now?
I'm up to two right now.
Two, working on your third.
Hmm.
And I've written many games, and I'm that's kind of my specialty when it comes to game development is
Hmm.
writing.
Yeah.
Second only by game design, but writing
But
is my.
this is something that always comes up whenever we talk about video games that are, or when a video game is translated into another medium, whether it's a game to a book, game to TV, movies, etc., etc. And how one of the easiest traps people fall into is trying to one take a game and turn it into another medium. And I spoke with developer, I think his name is Xavier Nielsen, something like that, a few years ago. He's writing several games right now, and we discussed about this topic then. And the problem, though, is that the video game medium is so unique because it's the only one that it involves pure interaction next to the storytelling.
Well, they're all very different because,
Mm-hmm.
like, you have TV that is a long form kind of, you know, thing compared to a movie that's very short form to a book that is, usually long form too and a lot more detailed. And then you have games that are focused on interactivity. So like they all have like a lot of issues changing in between each other, but games
Mm-hmm.
have the most trouble because of the interactivity.
Yeah. And that kind of interactivity has been. I always feel like that is the major point that separates great stories in games from not so great stories. Because you have to deal with it. Even if your game is going to be the next Gone Home or What Remains of Edith Finch or any of those, again, walking simulator type games, there still has to be interaction with it. Otherwise, you're just making a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're looking at kind of the interactivity side of things, it also creates kind of like, I'm not sure what the right term to use here, kind of like almost like a space that you have to reserve for your story. I'm writing this amazing story, but I also need to leave in, 3 to 5 hours of combat and a 20-minute boss fight here and there.
Yeah, you 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 can't just they won't just lap over each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, writing for a game, you've got to depending on what even the game you're writing for can be very very different because like you have like lighter on the story games like Dark Souls that tells its story through it sort of tells a story through lore kind of thing. It doesn't exactly story tell exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like there's a whole bunch of lore that you can piece together and maybe figure out something kind of thing. And then you got like games like a Devil May Cry that is almost kind of like an action movie kind of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
very very different from an action movie, but still sort of towards that direction kind of thing. And then you've got stuff like mobile games or whatever, where the writing is more like just here's how the tutorial how to do things. Here's
And then enjoy
uh,
grinding for
this
20,
description.
200
Yeah,
hours. Yeah.
and then you have like a game like an RPG, like a Final Fantasy or whatever, that has this in-depth story with plot twists and everything. And then you have like other games that are like choose your own story, where there's
Mm-hmm.
like Disco Elysium, where there's like tons of different paths that you can go on, and like just within games, there's just so much variance
Yeah.
on its own.
And to Brian's point from earlier, that's exactly what we're kind of referencing now, with the fact that some games the story is 100% linear. The player has no control over it. There is no real impact from my side. Just as we have games that are very much non-linear, that you're writing a story that somebody else is able to alter and change as they go along with it.
Hmm.
And it's again like the game industry is so unique in this aspect that you can't approach it the same way as you would other mediums, just as you can't approach translating a story from a video game to other mediums.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, you can do it. I mean, Witcher did it. They went from what, a book to the video game.
To the now Netflix series.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Or
but it is hard to go across that boundary line and
mm-hmm.
not mess it up.
Yeah. Like what they're doing with the whole Castlevania series on Netflix is that it is super, super, super loosely based on the story of those games because you can't really translate a Castlevania game story to a full-on Netflix series or to any series.
Yeah, and like we've seen the Final Fantasy movie they made. What was it? Not Advent Children. The
Spirits Within.
yeah, the Spirits Within. And you're trying to take a 40-hour game plus like the fact that you don't have the interactivity and translate that into a movie, and you know it's not even really Final Fantasy at that point. Like it's you know it has some Final Fantasy elements kind of thing, but like I mean, they had a guy in there named Sid, although it wasn't with a C, it was with a S, which makes it not Final Fantasy in that point. There was no Chocoboos in there. There was, like I mean, like the closest thing the Spirits Within had to do with any Final Fantasy was like Final Fantasy 13, and we know what kind of train wreck that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've seen again, like when another good example would be that World of Warcraft movie that came out. I think everyone has forgotten it already.
What movie?
Mm-hmm. And I still remember Penny Arcade did a comic strip like saying like exactly how that movie was going to turn out. And again, like it seems like video game movies either go all in, we're just going to take the story and translate it, or it's going to be some attempt that the player gets trapped in the video game. Like those seem to be like the only two extremes or two spectrums of a video game movie.
Yeah. And if I were to do a video game movie, what I would do is a new story kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would take the characters and do a new story. I would do like what they did with Advent Children, but better kind of thing. But like Advent Children did do a new story kind of thing. They took the Final Fantasy VII characters, they made a new story that happens after Final Fantasy VII,
Mm-hmm.
and not the remake. The remake doesn't exist, hopefully. And they really like told a new story, although it was so short kind of thing. Even though it was a pretty long movie, but I mean, it was like one basic quest, and it was like the final boss quest
Yeah.
kind of thing. And but it was a new story kind of thing, and I think that they did, compared to all the other video game movies, and they did a pretty dang good job, kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that is one way to that that would be the direction I would go in, kind of thing. Tell a new story in the same world with the same characters, kind of thing. Don't try to redo the video game. Don't try to
They did
like do
something like that. I know they made several Dead Space movies, and I think they did that with one of them. That was like a story like POV of all these like different characters who weren't in the game but still occupied the same universe.
nah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, again, like if you try to do things one to one, it just never turns out well. Now, another aspect of this that we haven't touched on yet is exactly how do you pace that story out? Because again, when we talk about a book, you don't have videos in a book to help direct what's going on. They go for again very detailed explanations. But you try that in a video game, the famous expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words. That nobody wants to sit there and read 800 lines of text to have the story be explained to them.
Yeah, I mean, we run into that with flying games and them bragging about how many thousands of words they
Yeah.
have. And you look at one page and everything, and at the top you'll see an image of a normal kind of apartment, and then below that you'll see them just listing things off that's in that apartment. You see the sun glistening off the plant in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
the rays of
By
sunlight
the time you've
bathing
read
in
that, you've
through
already
the
seen it.
yeah, you seen that before you even read it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why are you telling me this? What's the purpose behind this? We can see the image. Like, you don't need to describe the image in a few thousand words. That does nobody any good, kind of thing. That's horrible, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, I could maybe understand if you didn't have images, but if you didn't have images, I would suggest having images in there and get rid of all the words,
Yep.
kind of thing. If it was at all possible, like, I mean, if it's something you can't get an image for, can't make an image for, can't pay somebody to get an image for, I mean, it's it's second best kind of thing. But like, even then, like, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yep. And there's also the discussion about how much does the story really matter to the person. Again, you look at something like Doom, and the story is pretty much guy goes kills demons, and then they try to add a lot more to that with Doom Eternal. And there's of course Wolfenstein as well. When they updated that to add more story, then they changed things for Wolfenstein Youngblood. That I know everybody here enjoyed that game.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Mm-hmm. And you have to, again, you always have to manage your story with what the gameplay interaction is going to be. And I think that's a lot harder than it sounds. Because, again, you can have an emotionally resonating story completely undercut by the fact that I have to wander slowly, I have to walk 50 feet every time to get another little story beat, and it takes like 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
If you remember Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, like that game, like people have said they love the storytelling in that game, but I did not hear one person say that they loved the gameplay loop in it.
Yeah.
And I think,
And then we have like specific challenges in there, which most people are not crazy enough to take under, but I am kind of thing of putting story in a multiplayer game,
yep.
in a multiplayer only game, because when you hear those words, you're like, no, because like you think about it and like generally the story is going to drag down the game kind of thing.
Or don't forget when so many MMO developers try to make licensed games off of popular movies. And the whole issue of the chosen one. In The Matrix, you can be the one. In Star Wars, you can be a Jedi. Star Trek, you're a captain, etc., etc.
Yeah, there are multiplayer games with story, but I'm talking about multiplayer only games with story, and a lot of them, like the story drags down the game, or there's not much story. Usually, there's story during the tutorial kind of thing, and then you're done with the story kind of
Mm.
thing.
I
I know a
think.
lot of card games, a lot of several card games did that, like have a story in the tutorial, and then after the tutorial is over, there's not going to be any more story count.
Yeah, Warframe would be an exception. I would say Final Fantasy. Where's the MMO one that people are still playing? Like, I've heard
14 or 11.
14?
14 and 11 are both
Yeah,
MMOs.
like 14. Like, I've heard people really get into the story of those games. Yeah. And I think part of the reason for that, and the same thing for Warframe, is that they're not focusing on you. As in, you are the only one who can save this world, universe, galaxy, whatever. You are just, a cog in the machine. And you and your friends are all, working together to complete these goals. It was
Yeah,
kind
the issue is you have to write a special kind of story for that, because if the players do not feel involved, or
mm-hmm.
like they don't feel like they're making a meaningful difference kind of thing as a cog in the machine, then they aren't going to want to continue playing kind of thing, because that would just crap on their story kind of thing. And if they feel
Ex-
like they are the chosen one kind of thing, and you have everybody being chosen one, then this story loses its meaning there too.
mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And that's the problem. That if my story, and this is something that we run into, this is another very big point that makes video game writing very unique as well. If you give the player the means to customize their story or customize their character, you have to accommodate that when you're writing the story going forward. Because if you, for instance, let's say I build my character as a kind, generous person who's going to always help people out, then you write the next bit of, let's say you write the next bit of DLC or the next game, that my character was all the time an evil jerk who's going to kill everybody. That's a betrayal of my character.
Yep.
This was the exact issue they ran into with Assassin's Creed. Again, we had this discussion. I don't even know what's the latest title. I think it was Odyssey, the Greek mythology one. That people were talking about, that if they chose their character not to, have a romance option, the DLC forced that as an option.
Yeah, and you have the other issue of like if you have a custom character creator and everything in your game, and there's a line in your game
Mm-hmm.
that says, "Oh, look at that," and they're referring to your character kind of thing. Look at that cute guy or cute girl or whatever kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and your character is very uncute, or the other sex kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that does not work.
Yeah. And this is also why, for many RPGs that give characters full on, or give players full on control of their characters, they'll typically write kind of like these gates in terms of the story. That if you made it to this point, if you made X, Y, and Z choices, this is what your story is going to be for the rest of this game or for the next chunk. But let's say you made choice C, and then you made decisions M, N, and O, then you're going to go down this chunk. And it's just a way of it's essentially the developers and the writers having their cake and eating it too. We're going to let you choose what your character is going to be, who you're going to, be in this world. But when the time comes and we have to do major plot points, you're going to have to choose, A, B, or C. And then we go to the next decision tree.
Yeah. And there's to where we're going to go and talk about some of these other writing methods to where you can get like tons of customizability and stuff in there, and have your choices actually mean something, kind of thing, and without interfering in that kind of thing, and but like you have to build your game around it. That would be a core kind of gameplay loop kind of thing. You would have to know that before you started on your game, basic, or in the early prototypes, kind of thing.
And I think to expand on that, kind of like I think our main lesson for this section is that for storytelling to work in a game, you have to be building it concurrently or simultaneously with your gameplay. You can't save your story, for 75% done your game, just as you can't save your gameplay for when you've already written, 70% of your story.
And what he means by that, he doesn't mean writing the script. He means actually your story, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And by so like right now, I mean, like we have our story written. We know what's going to happen in Project Triad, kind of thing. We don't know, we don't have a script. We don't know what each character's involvement in that story is going to be, kind of thing. But the story is mapped out in a lot of ways. We don't know what a lot of the plot twists are going to be and whatnot. We don't know what a lot of things are going to be yet, but we know the general overall story, kind of thing, and the world that it's entered into, but we don't have a script yet.
You have, and again, like some of the very best examples of games that do their story well, the story feels like it's fully integrated with the gameplay. And that sentence alone could launch another 2-hour-long discussion.
Yeah. And see, back to my example with Project Triad is the reason why we have not started on the script is for a very, very simple point. Is because, we're running with fixed characters and everything. And we need to have the character designs all done before we can actually, go to write the script, because the character designs are very much going to impact how you tell the story. And like we said before, you don't want to write a story that talks about a cute girl and she's like this old hag or whatever, or, an old man or, young man or anything besides a cute girl, kind of thing. So you want to wait and find out with your art kind of all done, kind of thing, for your characters anyway, what characters are, like your cute girls, your cute guys, whatever, kind of thing. And you want to do that. Now, when you're working with a custom character creator, that runs into so many issues, kind of thing. So many issues. That ruins so much stories. Like it is hard to do a good story with a custom character creator.
Yep, just like, as I was saying my example with Neo 2, that you not only have a custom character, but they're also completely silent. So my character literally has no impact on the story whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
having no impact on your story, as the main character is like what would be a good explanation that's safe for YouTube? It's like eating a dessert, kind of thing, but you don't get to taste it.
And another, I think, issue when it comes to video game storytelling, again, is that certain game genres, I feel, are harder to do a do justice with a story. And
Oh yeah.
to give you two really good cases in point, we have, of course, RPGs and open world games. Because both of them deal with that same issue. That they give the player freedom to explore, freedom to do whatever they want, but they also try and tell a meaningful story within that space that doesn't necessarily click within that world. For instance, you can have the player, player barely escapes with their lives, and now they must go and relax. And then you can just ignore that and go do 50 hours of side quests. And then when you go back to the main story, they still describe your character as you're still weak and you can't do anything. Either I'm now level 60.
Yeah. Like that's the reason why. That's one of the main reasons. One of many reasons why I've never gotten into those games.
Mm-hmm.
Like you listen to the description of them, and they sound like stuff I would really love. But you get into play them, and it's like I love story, kind of thing. They're story, they're supposed to be story based games, and they jack up their stories almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I never found one I liked the story in. They tell you that you're going to be doing meaningful things, but then you end up doing what seems like just a bunch of fetch quests and
You're
everything.
doing just the same four things over again and again and again for 30 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Go talk to this person. Go get this item. Go do this.
my favorite point is when they have like story beats and they say, "Oh, you can't defeat me. You'll never be as strong as me." But I just grinded side quests for the last 30 hours. I'm at max rank with all the perks and the highest quality weapons.
Yeah. And then you just beat them in one hit, and then they're like, and then they cut to a cutscene where they're beating you, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's always great. Like in Dying Light, where I was all well and good until the game decided to force a section where they took away all my overpowered weapons I've spent crafting.
Mm.
Yeah. And that again, like open world design and linear storytelling, I think that's a trap for a lot of designers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Grand Theft Auto games are another really good example of this. That you either play the game very nice, but you're a horrible jerk in the cutscenes, or you're a horrible jerk in the playing the game, but your character is always nice in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
And again, it's those cases where I don't think you can have it both ways, or not without really radically changing how you write your game.
Yeah. You would have to really write something completely different and design your game around that. Like Tomo,
Mm-hmm.
they have a Tomo, developer of Epic Tavern. He has you know, they have a unique way they tell stories in their game. Well, it's not unique because I mean, like other people have done it, but
Mm-hmm.
like they've taken many different paths of storytelling because I mean, the game is focused around storytelling kind of thing, and they tell stories on branch path,
Mm-hmm.
to where you make a choice A or B kind of thing. Like you kill somebody or save them kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the path converges back together, and you're playing the same story from there to X amount of point. Then when you get to that point, based on the decision you made earlier,
It now
you can
will
either
calculate.
you either get help from this person because you saved their friend, or
Mm-hmm.
you get shut off onto a longer quest, or your quest just gets completely shut off kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Yeah.
And like other parts where it's a modular kind of thing, where you go into this kind of thing, you go into this event kind of thing. Oh, I've got to do this and save this person kind of thing, and you can do it and or not do it kind of thing. And if you do it, you enter that module kind of thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're in a linear. When I say linear, I mean you're going to save that person kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's tons of branches in between there and saving that person to where you go up there, because you get in there and you're like, okay, we can approach from the north side of the castle, we can approach from the south side of the castle, or we can try the underground sewers. And based on which one of those you go different paths and everything. You run into other splits, and then those split into other splits, and those split into other splits. But all of them converge back at the person you're saving, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like several modules like that, and they do all these different storytelling ways, all in the same game, kind of thing, because it's a game focused around telling stories, kind of thing, and telling your own story, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that kind of modular design definitely I can get around again, like having the story be so all encompassing that the second you lose it, there's nothing really else holding the player's attention like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think if there's. I just was thinking of an example on top of my head. I lost. Oh, another big point. Again, this could just easily turn to us ranting about bad storytelling conventions in games. Again, that if you're trying to give the player control, you can't take away that control to tell your story, because then it comes off as being cheap. One of the more, and this is kind of no pun intended, infamous examples is from the game Infamous. That one of the things that really pissed off a lot of people was there came a point in the game where you had to choose between either saving the main character's girlfriend or saving a bunch of scientists. And no matter what choice you made, the girlfriend was going to die. And what was that?
I was laughing.
Okay. So what ended up happening was if you saved the girlfriend, you learn that that was a decoy and she was really in the other tower. But if you go to the other tower, then it was really the girlfriend in that first section that you avoided. So no matter what you did, the story was going to turn out the same way. One of my kind
Big
of favorite,
choice.
sort of the choice, it was a false choice essentially. One of my favorite ones was from a Spider-Man, not Web of, was it Web of Shadows? The open world Spider-Man game, not the one by Insomniac.
Well, most of them are open world.
Yeah, this was the one you could play as evil Spider-Man. And what I like was they really just let you go all in for evil. They didn't just, hand wave it away at the end saying, oh, Spider-Man turns out to be good at the end. No, you can make it so that Spider-Man tries to take over New York. And it would set up just a crazy sequel that we never got.
I don't think that was Web of Shadows. I think Web of Shadows was that was focusing on the symbiotes.
I think that was it. Not the dimensional one. Not the one you play as like 7 different Spider-Men.
No, no. I think the Web of Shadows was where it was like Wolverine was in the game and like
Yeah, that
several
was
other
the open
characters.
world one.
And that was the one you were talking about.
Yeah, you can play that one. Yeah, that I was right. It was Spider-Man Web of Shadows. You can play the one as evil Spider-Man. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is it. Yep, it is it, because there's a good and evil choice video for it. Yeah, that's the one that lets you play as evil Spider-Man, if you can play through all the way.
I played so much of that, and I didn't know there was a play as evil Spider-Man in that. I love that one though.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. And I just remember. Oh, this was a topic that I was thinking about before I forgot. Some games that I think do things very interesting is they try to kind of. I'm not sure how to explain this, but kind of integrate the game mechanics into the story in a weird way. Like the Atelier games that you were showing me that have like the day cycle or the daytime to it. Like they'll
Mm-hmm.
say that, oh, this will happen in 30 days. So, just go and do what you want until that story beat happens. Like kind of a way, instead of it being like, the world will come to an end, but you can just enjoy your time. It's more like, we're going to let you do what you want, but at these specific dates, the major story is going to keep pushing forward.
Well, it's not so much that; it's that the in Telluria, what happens is every day the story happens,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, in all these different places, and if you're not there for it, then you don't get it, kind of thing. And like, that causes other stuff to happen. But based, the way that game is made and everything, there's no way you can same, in a playthrough kind of thing. You
Mm-hmm.
have to make multiple playthroughs kind of thing to get all of them kind of thing. But and they don't tell you where most of them are kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they do some really good storytelling in there kind of thing. But it's not like choose your own adventure kind of thing. I mean, it's well, I mean it is, but like you're not getting to control, make your own custom character or anything like that. You are stuck with the mandatory characters they give you. That
Mm-hmm.
said, you make your own party because you pick which ones of those, you know,
Mm-hmm.
characters you want to actually team up with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's more of a you're this character and you. There we go. There we go.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. I think another challenge for these games, and we'll begin to wrap things up in the next few minutes because we can certainly come back to this topic for a lot of things, is the idea of writing a story over multiple games. That I think is a very unique aspect when it comes to video games. Because the problem is that not every game gets a sequel. Not every game is going to get a conclusion DLC or something that's going to end things on. And you have to. I'm not sure this would be considered a safely extreme example. I'll let a shark be the judge of this. You have to write a story that is both open enough that it does allow for a sequel the time comes, but it still needs to be complete that somebody can say, I have finished the story with game number one.
I would say that's safely extreme, but like I don't think that's required, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a specific story that you want to tell and you're telling it kind of thing the way you want to tell it, which happened with my last game, and like I specifically intended that there was not going to be a second part.
Mm-hmm.
I did intend a prequel though, but like and maybe even multiple prequels, but like definitely not a sequel because like I had a hard end where I wanted that to stop, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
like you don't have to plan for that, but like in generality, you do want to plan for that unless you know exactly what you want to do, kind of thing. Like if
Yeah.
you absolutely want this story to end right here at this point, then end it right there at that point. But if you're telling a story and you're like, well, if this game is good enough, I'd like to make another one, kind of thing,
Yeah.
you need to do, you need to plan for, a way that you need to plan for a safely extreme ending to where
Mm-hmm.
it's complete, but it leaves room to go forward, kind of thing.
Yeah. And another challenge there is understanding what aspects people want to see going forward. Like, to give you an example, I'm playing through Control again because I got a key for the PS4 version that I need to review the DLC, so I have to play through the base game first. And this time it feels a lot rougher for me to play through the game because of the fact that I'm not focusing on the story anymore because I've already played through the base game. This time I'm just dealing with the pure combat and the pure gameplay loop. And the problem is that I don't think the gameplay is strong enough on its own to be motivating without the story. And normally I'm the opposite. That I care more about the mechanics and the story is just like eh. But you have to be aware of what aspects are going to drive people and what happens if you remove those going forward or if they're not available.
I'm surprised you didn't just skip all the cutscenes anyway.
Well, that one I really enjoyed the story wise because it was the lore and the world building really worked for me. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
am skipping the cutscenes on the second playthrough because I have to get to the point for my review.
Yeah. Just
But
surprised you weren't skipping them on the first time.
but I think with that we are just at the 2 hour mark, and I think we'll begin to wrap things up. Anything last minute you want to bring up about storytelling, Shark?
Um, well, you know you have to write the game, to write the story for the game specifically.
Mm-hmm.
The 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 story needs to be planned out and tied into the game, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't write the story at the very end. I mean, you can write the script near the end,
Mm-hmm.
but not the very end. You want to have all your characters developed and everything first,
Yeah.
but you want your story planned out before then. Like we for our current game, I planned out my story right at the beginning. Planned out the story before Josh even played it, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Because I was telling him a bit of the story before he played it, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. We were, planning on going multiple sci-fi, with one of those sci-fi groups being cyberpunk, and then as I'm doing the UI art and everything, I'm building it based off of the story, kind of thing. I'm building as I'm designing the mechanics, like the story is also taking place inside the mechanics, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of this stuff is like knitting together. Like, and if you don't knit things together, your game is going to be off-putting to
Yeah.
people, because they're going to feel like it's you have this part of the game and then you have this part of game, kind of thing. Not this is a game as a whole, kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you get that segmentation in there, that really like that's taking players out of the experience, kind of thing. Like they can be and that what that doesn't mean that they can't notice a difference, kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
like in a Final Fantasy, like people will notice the big epic cutscenes and everything like that, and they're like, "Woo, ah," but that's not taking them out of the experience. That's
Mm-hmm.
maybe putting them more into it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not that they notice; it's that it's not tied together, it's not stitched together. Like if your game is about I don't know, like saving the world or whatever, and then you have a cutscene about you doing washing a laundry machine, unless your game is specifically trying to be crazy and stupid, kind of thing, throughout the other parts and everything, that's going to take somebody out of it. Now that would work in a Disgaea game, because Disgaea is always
Yeah.
trying to be crazy throughout all parts of the game.
Yeah.
But they're not just crazy just during the cutscenes, kind of thing. They're crazy during all parts of the game. So that again, the washing machine would tie into their core, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think another like very weird thing is like when people try to tell elaborate stories in free to play or heavily monetized games. Like I said, I'm playing like the two Marvel games on mobile, and the stories, doom and gloom. We gotta figure out what's going on. There's all this danger, but here's 50 loot boxes you can open, or you must save the world, but here we can only help you if you open up the right loot box. Or, oh no, your energy ran out. Here, give us 10.99 quick and you can keep playing. Or that Harry Potter game, they showed the kid being strangled. You don't have enough energy. Give us $5 or the kid dies.
Yeah,
You need to do that for a Project Triad. If you don't buy this game, this kid's going to get killed.
no, it's free to play.
Uh, no, you have to buy enough booster packs or the kids will die.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
We'll put a story moment in there like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, this kid is going to die unless we can give him 6 booster packs right now.
Yeah, and you don't get to keep those. You just got to spend the money and give it to him, and
Exactly.
he gets to keep them.
Mm-hmm. You must do it now, or you must do it in the next 60 seconds.
Yeah,
There you go.
very scummy business practices there.
Mm-hmm. Again, we need Ramin on right now.
Hmm.
All right, but I think with that, we're going to wrap things up for this week. Hopefully, we will be still functioning next week, and my fro will slowly but surely grow out over the next like few months of our quarantine.
Yep. You'll be Fro Josh.
Mm-hmm. You'll have to do a little fro for your shark image too, just to keep up. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter at GWBlazer. There are links to our Discord and Patreon down below. And where can people find you, Shark?
You can find me on Discord. The link will be down below. If Discord doesn't work for you, there's links to other things too. But I hope to see you on Discord because that's where I'm at all the time.
Me too. Alright, everyone, we will be back later for our regular game streams and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Have a great rest of your Sunday, stay safe and all that, and we will see you all next time.